Hello, hello, hello. TC, what do I have in my hand?
That would be a casino.
That is the correct answer. The BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. Safe, secure, easy to use, everything you want in a digital casino and sportsbook. Join BetParx. Do it right now. It's the only casino and sportsbook app I recommend. I mean, right now, there are so many fun things to engage oneself with. You've got the soccer tournament. The soccer tournament,
as they say,
college and pro football, basketball, and hockey. It's a great time of year because there's so much going on. Live in-game betting. You can bet on all the action as it happens. You got to download the BetParx app. Do it right now. They've got all the terms and conditions, sportsbook and casino, all in one amazing app. BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. Got to be 21 and present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the Friday headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Good news to an increasingly large part of the country. More opportunity for mingling. Yesterday I mentioned having spoken recently at a local synagogue where the Rabbi Newberg, had said to me, because I referenced in my speech, Wawa. And I was making the point that at Wawa, you have an opportunity for interaction with people who might not look like you, might not work in the place that you work, might not come from the same background, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, think about it. Where in the course of a typical day can you go and be surrounded by people of such dissimilar background? Wawa fits that bill for me, and it's part of my current speech to talk about how we need to extend the Wawa-like opportunities in our lives. Well, after she heard me speak, she said, it's funny that you talk about this because during high holidays, I gave a Devor Torah, I think is the correct way to caption this, about Wawa and how we are nicer inside. Hold the door, please. Thank you. Maybe you pay for somebody else's coffee. That really does happen. How do we extend the feeling that's inside a Wawa well beyond a Wawa, because outside is a jungle? Right? I mean, you think about every parking lot. Wawa
honestly, especially this time of year. I say it again and again, but this time of year, there is no holiday spirit anywhere in our area. It's awful.
But Wawa must have really brilliant zoning attorneys on their...
How so?
Well, you just think about any Wawa. Like, imagine the Wawas that are around us. I didn't mean to get off on this tangent.
Right.
But it's bedlam in the parking lot.
But why is that? That means they don't have zoning. In other words,
no. What I'm saying is Wawa is able to get like into a small.
Oh, I understand. So in other words, I was
there's
thinking
never enough parking.
Okay, I was thinking you would want better zoning in order to have more parking. What you're saying is they're able to get in there with more parking spaces in less space.
Think about
it's crazy.
Think about the West Conshohocken Wawa.
Yes,
which is one of my faves. They shoehorned it in there.
So it's not just where the parking spaces are when you get into the parking lot. It's also getting in and out, which is treacherous.
Yes.
I know.
And I'm there early on a Saturday morning. I'm like holding my breath, just getting out of there.
Even
because cars
on early Saturday.
Yeah. Well, because it's a very popular for landscapers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's
now,
always
this time
trucks.
of year. Right.
Yeah.
But landscapers, like in the summer, I'm there 5:45. I'm the last one in.
Oh my gosh.
It's like I'm a malingerer.
Exactly.
And I come in a suit.
Right.
I come in a suit.
They're like, who are you?
Who is this guy?
Right.
Exactly. What was my point?
What was your point?
My point
Wawa
is
mingling.
that Wawa is expanding now again into, well, they describe it as the Midwest. I don't think of Kentucky as the Mid. Well, I guess I would describe it.
What are the lucky states? Let's just go there.
Thank you, TC.
Yeah.
Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. That makes 6 new states on the list for the Delco headquartered convenience chain, currently the 29th largest privately owned company in the United States and the largest in Pennsylvania. It's the largest privately owned company in Pennsylvania.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think you will not have to be explaining what Wawa is when we talk about it on a national show.
Correct. And so they opened their first store in 1964. They've grown to nearly 1,000 locations across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Florida, Washington, D.C. Planned markets announced this summer and fall include Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. So
there they are.
Westward ho.
Go, go, go.
Yeah.
I love it.
What's so special about Wawa?
I think everything is better than it ought to be. So it's not like we're trying to do fine dining. It's not like we're trying to do, that your casual healthy. It's just everything is done to a level that is better than it ought to be at a convenience mart.
I like there's a Wawa in the
coffee's
Poconos.
Good and hot and cheap.
Yeah, it is. I didn't get mine there today, or I'd be waving it in front of the camera.
So you got the part that's good and hot and expensive.
Correct. I like Wawa coffee.
I know you do.
I buy Wawa coffee and then I
do.
use the Keurig pots. There's a Wawa that I like to go to in the Poconos.
Parking must be better out there.
There's a lot of parking at this one in the Poconos.
Yeah.
It's bedlam. And people are from all over, and it's a big outdoorsman and outdoors women.
Yep.
Early morning there.
Are they grabbing a hoagie to bring on the road?
I am. I'm grabbing a hoagie to take into the woods. I'll grab one of their pre-made. They're pretty good.
I know. Well, they're
pretty good.
Okay, see, that's my point. It's sort of better than you think it's going to be. I think that's their charm.
Point.
I follow them on Instagram, and there's always.
You follow Wawa on Instagram?
Why, yes, I do. And why aren't
you? Follow Wawa on Instagram?
Because it's phenomenal, and they all their specials and seasonal things. For Thanksgiving, they had the gobbler, which was like turkey and
yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Wawa's coming across the country.
Get ready, people.
Get ready to mingle. I know that there are like Sheetz. I know that there are other convenience stores that people 7-Eleven, but they don't
I grew up with 7-Eleven.
But they don't feel an allegiance the way they do to Wawa.
Right.
And I think we just enjoy saying the name.
I do too.
Wawa. Poll results from yesterday, Smerconish.com. Wow, 19,269 was Volodymyr Zelensky the appropriate choice for the 2022 Time Person of the Year.
Boy, it was really close.
Some callers correctly said that President Biden and Vladimir Putin deserved to be on the short list.
And Trump.
Yeah. And Trump.
I
agreed with all of that.
I
said, they deserve to be on the short list. They did, because the criteria, who most impacted the news for good or ill. But in the end, I said, and you agreed, it had to be Zelensky. 94.77% said, yes, he was the appropriate choice. Today, this is going to be interesting when we get the final result. Was the Griner for Boot a fair trade? Was Griner for Boot a fair trade? I said it stumbling there, but that's the way we worded it. The White House presents this as, hey, this was the only choice we had. Like, this was it. This is all we, it was we take this deal or there was no deal. Okay, well, you could have taken no deal. You could have said no and held out for a deal that would have included Paul Whelan. But, they wanted to get her home for the holidays. It's hard to make the case that they should say no to that exchange. But then when you get further into it and you realize, who was this guy that we just gave up? And in like a John LeClaire book or in a Bourne Identity sequence, you had Griner and Victor Boot, the Russian arms dealer, the merchant of death, passing each other during a prisoner swap. That footage is really wild. So they don't acknowledge one another.
Like a movie.
But there she is, and there he is, and they pass like two ships in the night. I'm thrilled that she's home. Please don't get me wrong, but I think there's a legitimate issue here as to whether we gave up too much in giving up a guy who's an arms dealer at a time when Russia needs arms for the war in Ukraine. That's the point I'm not hearing people put together that occurred to me as I was watching this. I'm hearing plenty of criticism, as I predicted yesterday. I said there'll be people who will say, like, oh my God, we gave up a basketball player for an arms dealer. Like, that's not fair. And of course, those arguments are out there. But I think you have to complete the sentence, which is, we gave up an arms dealer at a time when Russia is in a war and they desperately need weapons. I mean, why do you think this guy, it doesn't seem to me to be rocket science, why would it be so important to Putin to want to have this guy back? Because he needs weapons. Political blockbuster today. Blockbuster, and I addressed it on CNN early this morning. Senator Kirsten Sinema joining the ranks of the Ayes. The lead story today at Smerconish.com is an essay that she penned for the Arizona Republic. Why I'm registering as an independent It begins with the senator saying there's a disconnect between what everyday Americans want and deserve from our politics and what political parties are offering. Further along in her essay, in catering to the fringes, words I could have written, in catering to the fringes, neither party has demonstrated much tolerance for diversity of thought. So a couple of quick observations about this. You just heard from the leader of a group called Common Ground making the case that there's data that says that the bridge builders running for re-election in the midterm election fared much better in close congressional races than did any other group. I didn't express that so well, but the more inclined in a close, competitive congressional district you are to be bipartisan, the higher your chances were of being reelected. Yeah, 8 of 9 in the closest of congressional races. So what's my point? It's smart politics for her, especially in Arizona, where the latest numbers in Arizona say, this is as of the midterm election, 34.67% are R's, 30.66% are D's, 33.89% are others. So there are more others than Democrats and nearly as many others as there are R's. So she's got a lot of company. And of course, the statistic that I like to cite time and again, 42% tell Gallup that they are an independent, not a Republican or a Democrat. So lots of company. She's got the right instinct. She does vote with the Biden administration often, but in some clutch situations, she's been a holdout. And I love it. I mean, I love it. I think that to have real independence, and we'll have to see with whom she'll caucus, and there are some wonk issues that need to get resolved, but I don't think she's going to be like Angus King, and I don't think she's going to be like Bernie. I think she's going to be a real eye, and good for Arizona, because everybody's got to come to her. You know, I'm only surprised that Manchin's not doing the same thing. One issue to keep your eye on, and I asked this issue of Evan McMullin when he was running as an independent in Utah, put up a good fight, didn't win, but one of the criticisms of Evan McMullin was, hey, you're going to give up power for Utah if you win because you won't get any committee assignments. And he cited for me a rule and said, no, Senate Rule 25 says that every sitting member of the United States Senate has to have at least 2 committee assignments. I don't think Democrats are going to want to punish her. I don't think they're going to want to piss her off because they're going to need her. And final thought on this is I don't know that she would have made this move if she were looking at a Senate that wasn't controlled by D's. In other words, they can afford to lose her. They can afford to lose her given the 51-49 margin. So what'll happen now? Will it go to 50-50 with Kamala Harris? Maybe so. Other political news, Ron DeSantis now leading Donald Trump by 5 points in a 2024 matchup. Again, I underscore, but that's in a 1-to-1 contest. If you look at the numbers among Republicans who say they voted in a 2016 Republican primary, his margin jumps to 11 points. Interesting. We'll see what happens. Oh, TC, I love this story, and I think we need to circle back to this next week.
Which one?
Headline from the Wall Street Journal. The IRS goes after your side hustle.
Yeah, what's that
all about? Do you have a side hustle?
Does my podcast count as a side hustle?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I do have a side hustle.
Kind of a main hustle.
But what I did,
you used to have a side hustle
when I did TC's Papery. So when I did the stationery business, but I reported all of that.
Was it TC's Papery or Paperia?
It was TC's Papery, like Kate's Papery in New York City.
Aha. Mm-hmm. I liked TC's Papery.
I loved it.
What happened to that?
You
couldn't run your hustle at the same time?
I couldn't do QVC, the radio show, and TC's Papery. So then I cut it down to the radio show and TC's Papery, and then eventually just the radio show.
The IRS reminding Americans that the reporting rules have changed for payment, card, and third-party payment network transactions. This means that if you received a payment of more than $600 via such networks as Venmo, PayPal, Amazon, or Square, you will probably receive a Form 1099-K this year. The reporting limit for receiving a Form 1099-K used to be $20K a year.
It went from $20K to $600?
Right.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
You don't want to pay your taxes?
I don't think for $600, if you're like selling, used toys on the side. Do you?
The Wall Street Journal says, if nothing else, this gives the lie to the Democratic claim that the purpose of the 80 bill in the Inflation Reduction Act to hire all of those new taxmen is to target the rich. They are coming for you and the neighborhood kid who mows your lawn.
Okay, well, that's what I'm kind of thinking. So wait, seriously,
we got
what
to
do you
this.
think?
We have to do this issue. I love this issue. I love this issue.
Now,
next
all
week.
of a sudden, I don't know what I think. I have to ponder this one.
All right. Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nobody likes it. And then you say, well, okay, but you ought to be, yeah.
Well, that's what you just said. Don't you want to pay your taxes? And I'm
right.
like, uh-oh.
Could you see masking up again?
If it gets bad, yeah. I mean, it depends. Do I want to? Of course not. I went and got blood work done yesterday, and in hospitals.
Oh yeah, send me the results of that, please.
You still have to wear, just routine. Nobody panic. You still have to wear your mask. So it's just, I mean, those people, nice. Those people have been coming to work every day, fully masked for their entire shift, every day. For our friends on YouTube, Michael is now wearing a purple mask. That's nice.
Caught in my glasses.
Glasses are tough with those.
I hated
earrings are tough with those.
I hated wearing masks, especially for flying, because I'm one of those who really does get to the airport early.
No, really?
Yeah, and then then the flight and so forth, and well, in LA, they may be masking up again indoors in the new year.
I mean, I hear you, but come on, if it's necessary and if it helps, then let's not complain about it.
We know his name.
We do.
Joseph Augustus Zarelli. I mean, the story gets even more peculiar, right? They know his birthday. They know that he died. He was 4 years old. He was the boy in the box. And then how about this part of the story? There are a number of living family members. Police did not say where they live or reveal any further details. The boy's mother and father, whom police declined to identify, are deceased.
Both of them are deceased, but there are siblings, they said, that are alive. Crazy.
Yeah. DNA and a lot of good detective work unraveling this case.
But they still don't know who killed him.
They still don't know.
Right.
Yeah, died in 1957. It has captivated the city of Philadelphia and surrounding areas ever since.
For years.
In the follow-up Impact segment of the program,
yay!
Yesterday we talked at this stage of the day about the release by the Sussexes,
Harry and Meghan,
of their documentary on Netflix.
Yes, indeed.
How about this? And this is from the New York Times.
Oh,
this is not the Daily Mail. Okay,
you're very quick to point that out, aren't you, Michael?
I am, because coming from them, I think it enhances the credibility of what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, interesting.
These days in Britain, very little unites the right and left. Harry and Meghan, the intimate Netflix series released Thursday, is quickly shaping up to be the exception.
Oh, nice. Everybody agrees.
The first 3 episodes of the docuseries, directed by Liz Garbus and produced in conjunction with the production company of the Prince of blah, 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 were quickly skewered by a bipartisan group of critics.
Oh, my.
From The Sun to The Guardian.
Oh, boy.
Although skewered may not actually capture the harshness of some of the commentary. And then, who does the Times quote? Piers.
Oh.
Piers.
Wow. I take now this very seriously. Go ahead.
Do you want to hear what he says?
You mean the Meghan hater? Yes, go ahead.
Who are the world's biggest victims right now? You might think it's the poor people of Ukraine as they bombed and shot and raped by Putin's invading barbarians, or those whose lives have been ruined by the COVID pandemic that continues to cause widespread death and long-term illness, or the millions battling crippling financial hardship and the devastating cost of living crisis. But no, the world's biggest victims are in fact Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, a pair of incredibly rich, stupendously privileged, horribly entitled narcissists. And if you don't believe me, just ask them. And there's more. But they're catching it from all sides.
I hear you.
Did you see my Instagram yesterday?
Yeah. What did Netflix? Netflix knows your number.
Right. Netflix said, oh, there's a new series that we think you're going to want to watch.
And it was.
And it was like this one.
Boom.
I will. I'll watch a little bit of it this weekend.
No, I definitely will too.
And I shall listen to TC After Dark.
Oh, I thank you so much.
And finally, at Smerconish.com.
Finally, any opportunity to use a headline like this one.
So the headline at Smerconish.com today says, there once was a beach on Nantucket.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not want tan lines, Nantucket is the place to go this summer.
Because
anyone can be topless.
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 As Ronnie would say.
Beaches.
Topless.
Who says that and why?
Ronnie the limo driver.
Why?
You'll have to listen.
Oh, geez.
Those who are in the know are in the know.
They know.
Changes are coming to the beaches on Nantucket. All public and private beaches on the island will allow anyone to be topless. Didn't Alan Dershowitz tell me a story?
There are topless beaches. I think that was on Martha's Vineyard, and there are definitely nude beaches on the Vineyard.
Yeah,
yeah, and he saw his book was covering a lady's breasts.
Right. He saw a woman who was topless reading his book.
Right.
I think I said
or
to
she
him,
was sleeping with the book across her chest. Unclear.
Aha.
I can't remember.
I think that was in response to a question I often like to ask authors of books that are getting a lot of traction. Where have you been where you've seen someone reading your book? And I think that was Dersh's response.
In the wild.
Yeah, I think that was his very unique response.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
The poll question at Smerconish.com: was Griner for Boot a fair trade? Was Griner for Boot a fair trade? The innkeeper interview is the feature of TC After Dark.
That's right. The Inn at Hastings Park in Lexington, Massachusetts. Trisha Perez Keneally is the proprietor, and we talk about what it's like to own an inn, to be an entrepreneur, to go from Harvard Business School to inn ownership, and it's really, really interesting.
Listen to TC After Dark this weekend. Watch me YouTube Live, 7:30 a.m. Philly time Saturday morning, CNN, 9 a.m. Have a wonderful weekend.